You share your dreams with excitement, don't you? You announce your plans, celebrate small victories, seek approval for every step you take. And then you wonder why progress feels so heavy, why motivation fades, why the path that seemed clear becomes foggy and full of obstacles you never saw coming. I am Solomon, and I have witnessed empires rise and fall. I have seen the mightiest brought down not by declared enemies, but by the silent gazes that watched from the shadows. Today I speak to you about a truth that most will never understand. Those who watch you in silence may be your greatest obstacle. Right now, as you listen to these words, someone knows your plans. Someone knows your struggles. Someone knows exactly where you are vulnerable. And while you believe you are surrounded by support, what you may actually be surrounded by is surveillance disguised as care. You were not born to live seeking constant validation. You were not created to justify every step of your journey to minds that have never walked your path. You were designed to move with the wisdom of serpents and the innocence of doves, protecting what is sacred while you build what is eternal. But instead, you have become an open book in a world full of critics who never dared to write their own story. You have become transparent in a reality where discretion is power, where silence is strategy, where the wise guard their treasures until they are ready to shine without asking permission. This is not about becoming cold or distant. This is about becoming intelligent. This is about understanding that true growth happens in the silence of preparation, not in the noise of exhibition. This is about transforming from someone who seeks approval into someone who commands respect through results. The person you are becoming cannot coexist with the version of yourself that tells everything, shows everything, and justifies everything. One must die for the other to be born. And that death, that transformation, begins with understanding that not everyone who watches you wants to see you win. In the next few minutes, I will show you how to identify these silent obstacles, how to protect your path without building walls around your heart, and how to grow with a strength that cannot be shaken by gazes that seek to diminish you. If you are ready to stop being an easy target for those who smile at your face but question your worth in silence, then this message has found you at exactly the right moment. Subscribe to this channel, because the wisdom you are about to receive will change not just what you do, but who you become. And that transformation cannot wait another day. Number 1. Not every obstacle presents itself as opposition. You believe you can recognize your enemies, don't you? You think opposition always comes with raised voices, clenched fists, and declared intentions. You expect your obstacles to announce themselves, to present credentials, to make their presence known with the clarity of thunder in a storm. But I, Solomon, who have observed the rise and fall of kingdoms, tell you this. The most dangerous obstacles are those that never reveal themselves as obstacles at all. Right now, someone in your circle knows exactly what you're planning. They know your weaknesses, your fears, your dreams. They ask the right questions. They listen with apparent interest. They even offer encouragement. Yet beneath this mask of support lies something far more insidious than open hostility. They are studying you, not to help you succeed, but to understand how to ensure you don't. The greatest wisdom I ever received was not about conquering declared enemies, but about recognizing hidden ones. The enemy who announces himself is manageable. The enemy who smiles while sharpening his blade is the one who will catch you unprepared. These are the people who observe you in silence, not out of admiration, but out of calculation. Picture a hunter in the wilderness. He does not announce his presence to his prey. He studies their patterns, learns their habits, understands their routines. He watches from the shadows, patient and methodical, until the perfect moment to strike. Your silent observers operate with the same calculated patience. They are not there to celebrate your victories. They are there to understand your vulnerabilities. I once knew a merchant who shared every detail of his trading routes with those he considered friends. He spoke of his strategies, his partnerships, his profit margins. He believed that transparency would earn him loyalty and support. What he earned instead was systematic sabotage. His routes were blocked by mysterious delays. His partnerships were poisoned by whispered doubts. His profits were undermined by competitors who seemed to anticipate his every move. The man never understood that his greatest obstacle was not market forces or economic conditions, but the very people who sat at his table and listened to his plans with false smiles. This is the reality that most will never grasp. Not every obstacle presents itself as opposition. The most effective obstacles disguise themselves as interest, as care, as friendship. They wear the mask of support while working systematically to ensure your failure. They study your moves not to learn from you, but to learn how to counter you. But here lies the turning point in your understanding. Once you recognize that silence can hide intention, that excessive attention is not always admiration, that some observe only to interfere later, you begin to develop what I call the wisdom of discernment. You begin to see beyond the surface, beyond the pleasantries, beyond the apparent support. The practical truth you must embrace is this. Observe the observers. Pay attention to who asks too many questions about your plans. Notice who seems unusually interested in your timeline, your resources, your strategies. Watch for those who remember details about your journey that even you might have forgotten. These are not signs of friendship. These are signs of surveillance. Most importantly, understand that the obstacle that never reveals itself as an obstacle is often more dangerous than a dozen declared enemies. The enemy you cannot see is the enemy you cannot defend against. But the enemy you learn to recognize in their disguise becomes powerless against your newfound awareness. When you understand that not every smile carries good intentions, not every question comes from genuine interest, and not every observer wishes you well, you stop being an easy target for those who would sabotage your progress while pretending to support it. Number 2. The cost of exposing yourself without discretion. Every time you open your mouth to share your plans, you hand someone else the power to destroy them. Every time you seek validation for your dreams, you give others the authority to vote on your destiny. Every time you expose your strategies without discretion, you transform private ammunition into public weapons that can and will be used against you. You have been conditioned to believe that sharing is caring, that transparency builds trust, that openness creates connection. But I, Solomon, who have seen empires crumble from within, tell you that indiscriminate exposure is not vulnerability, it is foolishness. It is not authenticity, it is strategic suicide. Think about the last time you shared a dream with someone. Remember how their first response was not encouragement, but doubt disguised as concern. Remember how their questions were not about how they could help, but about how difficult it would be. Remember how their support came wrapped in conditions and limitations you had never considered. That moment when your excitement began to dim, when your certainty started to waver. That was the moment your information became a tool against you. This is the hidden cost of exposure without discretion. Your plans become their opinions. Your vision becomes filtered through their limitations. Your possibilities become reduced to their understanding of what is possible. You begin to see your dreams through the lens of their fears, their failures, their narrow perspective on what life should look like. But the damage goes deeper than external influence. When you constantly seek outside validation for your internal vision, you begin to lose touch with your own voice. You start making decisions based not on what feels right to you, but on what will be acceptable to others. You modify your goals not because they need modification, but because you want to avoid criticism. You water down your ambitions not because they are unrealistic, but because you want to maintain peace with those who lack the courage to pursue their own. I remember a young king who came to me for counsel. He had inherited a prosperous kingdom, but he had also inherited advisors who had served his father. Every decision he made, he shared with this council. Every plan he developed, he submitted for their approval. Every vision he had for his kingdom, he filtered through their experience. Within 2 years, his kingdom had stagnated, not because his ideas were wrong, but because his ideas had been diluted by too many opinions, weakened by too much input, and compromised by too much consideration for viewpoints that were rooted in the past rather than aimed at the future. The turning point came when he realized that seeking consensus was preventing progress. The cost of exposing every thought, every plan, every strategy to people who had not been chosen for their vision, but inherited for their position, was the slow death of innovation and growth. He learned that discretion is not secrecy born of shame, but wisdom born of understanding. Here is what you must understand. When you expose yourself without discretion, you lose control of the narrative. Others begin to define what is possible for you based on what was possible for them. Their limitations become your boundaries. Their fears become your hesitations. Their failures become your expectations. The practical application of this wisdom is simple but difficult. Learn to protect your plans while they are vulnerable. A seed planted too early in the wrong soil will not grow. An idea shared too early with the wrong people will not survive. Your dreams need time to develop strength before they can withstand the weight of other people's opinions. This does not mean living in isolation or building walls around your heart. It means becoming selective about who deserves access to your innermost thoughts and plans. It means understanding that privacy is not paranoia, discretion is not deception, and protecting your vision is not selfishness. The cost of exposing yourself without discretion is nothing less than the slow erosion of your authentic self. When you give everyone a voice in your decisions, your own voice gets lost in the noise. When you make everyone a stakeholder in your dreams, you stop being the primary investor in your own future. Number 3. Solomon's view on prudence. Prudence is not the enemy of boldness. It is the guardian of wisdom. It is not the voice that tells you to stay small, but the counsel that teaches you to move with intelligence. Solomon did not become the richest man in history by rushing into every opportunity or sharing every strategy. I became successful by understanding that timing, discretion, and careful observation are the foundations upon which lasting success is built. You have been taught to confuse prudence with fear, to mistake careful planning for lack of faith, to interpret strategic silence for weakness or indecision. But true prudence is the highest form of courage. It is the bravery to wait when waiting serves you better than acting. It is the strength to remain silent when silence protects what you are building. It is the wisdom to observe more than you speak, because observation reveals what words cannot teach. The world celebrates the loud and the quick, the impulsive and the immediate. It glorifies those who act first and think later, who share everything and protect nothing, who mistake motion for progress and noise for strength. But I have observed that those who rise highest and last longest are those who understand the power of prudent action and strategic timing. Consider the eagle, the king of birds. It does not announce its hunting plans to the forest. It does not seek approval from other birds before it soars. It observes the landscape, studies the wind patterns, identifies the perfect moment, and then strikes with precision and power. The eagle's strength lies not just in its wings or its talons, but in its ability to wait, to watch, and to act only when success is most likely. This is the essence of prudence. Acting not from impulse, but from intelligence. Moving not because you can, but because you should. Speaking not because you have something to say, but because saying it will serve a purpose. Sharing not because sharing feels good, but because sharing will advance your cause. I once observed two architects competing to design a temple. The first architect immediately began sharing his plans with everyone who would listen. He sought input from every craftsman, opinion from every observer, validation from every passerby. His design became a collection of compromises, a structure built not on his vision, but on the accumulated preferences of dozens of voices. The second architect worked in silence, studied the site, understood the purpose, and protected his vision until it was complete and ready to be executed. When the time came to present their designs, the first architect offered confusion disguised as collaboration. The second architect offered clarity born of focused thought. The commission went to the second architect, not because his design was more popular, but because it was more coherent, more purposeful, more complete. This story illustrates the transformative power of prudence. When you protect your strategies while they mature, you allow them to develop their full strength. When you act only when the result is already formed in your mind, you move with the confidence of someone who has already seen the end from the beginning. The turning point in your understanding of prudence comes when you realize that it is not about being secretive or closed off, but about being strategic and intentional. Prudence teaches you that not every thought needs to be shared. Not every plan needs to be discussed. Not every strategy needs to be validated by others before it can be trusted by you. Practically speaking, prudence means developing the discipline to sit with your ideas long enough for them to mature. It means giving your plans time to evolve without the interference of premature feedback. It means building your strategies in the quiet place of your own mind before exposing them to the noise of other people's opinions. The wise observe more than they speak, because observation teaches what speaking cannot learn. When you talk, you reveal what you know. When you listen and observe, you discover what you did not know you needed to know. The person who speaks first in a negotiation reveals their position. The person who listens first discovers the other party's weaknesses, needs, and motivations. Prudence is the wisdom that builds empires, the discretion that protects fortunes, the intelligence that creates lasting success. It is not the absence of action, but the presence of thoughtful action. It is not the fear of risk, but the wisdom to take calculated risks. It is not the paralysis of overthinking, but the power of acting from a position of strength rather than a place of uncertainty. When you embrace prudence as your companion rather than your constraint, you transform from someone who reacts to circumstances into someone who creates circumstances. You become not just a participant in your own life, but the architect of your own destiny. Number 4. Silent envy and disguised curiosity. Behind every seemingly innocent question about your progress lies a calculation. Within every compliment that feels slightly off balance hides a comparison. Beneath every expression of interest in your journey runs an undercurrent of measurement, of weighing, of silent judgment that has nothing to do with supporting your success and everything to do with managing their own insecurity. You want to believe that people ask about your plans because they care about your welfare. You want to trust that their curiosity comes from genuine interest in your growth. You want to assume that their attention is a form of admiration, that their questions are born of friendship, that their focus on your journey reflects their desire to see you succeed. But I, Solomon, who have been studied by kings and scrutinized by queens, tell you this. Not every question is genuine interest, and not every compliment comes without comparison. Silent envy is the most sophisticated form of opposition you will ever encounter. Unlike obvious jealousy, which reveals itself through bitter words and hostile actions, silent envy disguises itself as support while systematically working to undermine your confidence. It asks questions designed to plant doubt. It offers compliments laced with subtle diminishment. It expresses interest that is actually intelligence gathering for future sabotage. The envious observer studies your success not to learn from it, but to find ways to minimize it. They pay attention to your strategies not to implement them, but to identify their weaknesses. They remember your words not to be inspired by them, but to use them against you when the opportunity arises. They are archive keepers of your vulnerabilities, librarians of your insecurities, historians of your failures. Picture a merchant watching another merchant stall at the marketplace. If he observes to learn better business practices, his attention brings mutual benefit. But if he observes to understand pricing strategies, he can undercut. To identify suppliers he can steal, to discover weaknesses he can exploit. Then his attention becomes a form of predation, disguised as interest. The second merchant believes he is being admired when he is actually being hunted. I once knew a wealthy woman who possessed both beauty and intelligence. She attracted many admirers, but she could never understand why her relationships consistently failed, why her friendships turned sour, why people who seemed to celebrate her success eventually turned against her. The problem was not her success or her beauty or her intelligence. The problem was her inability to recognize that many of those who surrounded her were not there to appreciate her gifts, but to find ways to diminish them. Their compliments always came with subtle conditions. You're so beautiful, it's almost intimidating. You're so successful. It must be hard to find genuine friends. You're so intelligent. I bet people find you unapproachable. Each compliment was actually a criticism wrapped in praise, designed to make her question whether her strengths were actually weaknesses, whether her gifts were actually burdens. This is how silent envy operates. It doesn't attack your successes directly. It questions the cost of those successes. It doesn't deny your achievements. It suggests that those achievements have isolated you from real happiness. It doesn't criticize your choices. It plants seeds of doubt about whether those choices have truly served you. The turning point in recognizing silent envy comes when you start paying attention not just to what people say, but to the energy behind what they say. Genuine interest feels expansive. It opens possibilities and creates connections. Disguised curiosity feels extractive. It takes information while giving nothing valuable in return. True admiration lifts both the giver and receiver. False compliments elevate no one while attempting to level the playing field. Here is the practical wisdom you need. Learn to recognize the difference between those who study you to grow alongside you and those who study you to grow at your expense. Genuine supporters ask questions that help you think deeper about your goals. Envious observers ask questions that make you doubt the validity of those goals. True friends celebrate your progress without needing to immediately share their own. False friends cannot acknowledge your achievements without comparing them to their own experiences or pointing out what you might be losing in the process. The most important skill you can develop is the ability to feel the energy behind people's attention. When someone asks about your success, do you feel energized by their curiosity or drained by their interrogation? When someone compliments your progress, do you feel genuinely seen and appreciated? Or do you feel like you need to defend or justify your achievements? Those who observe you too much may indeed wish you ill, not because they are evil people, but because your success forces them to confront their own lack of progress. Your growth becomes a mirror that reflects their stagnation. Your achievements become a measuring stick that highlights their unfulfilled potential. They cannot celebrate what reminds them of what they have not become. Silent envy and disguised curiosity are not character flaws in others that you need to fix. They are realities you need to recognize and navigate wisely. When you understand that not every interest is friendly and not every question is innocent, you stop feeding information to those who would use it to harm rather than help your journey. Number 5. How to identify who should have access. In the economy of your inner world, access is the most valuable currency you possess. Every person who enters the sacred space of your dreams, plans, and vulnerabilities either deposits something of value or withdraws something precious. Every individual you trust with your vision either strengthens it with their support or weakens it with their doubt. Every mind you invite into your decision-making process either contributes wisdom or introduces confusion. The tragedy of most people's lives is not that they lack good ideas or strong determination, but that they give access to too many people who have not earned it. They treat their inner circle like a public forum, their private thoughts like public property, their personal dreams like community decisions. They confuse openness with wisdom and mistake sharing with caring. But I, Solomon, who learned to build the greatest temple ever constructed by carefully choosing every craftsman, every advisor, every contributor, tell you this. Your success depends not just on what you do, but on who you allow to influence what you do. The quality of your inner circle determines the quality of your outcomes. There are only 3 types of people in your life, and understanding the difference between them will transform how you protect your energy and direct your focus. There are allies, spectators, and enemies. Each plays a different role, each deserves different treatment, and each requires different boundaries. Allies contribute. They don't just consume your time and energy, they invest their own resources into your success. When you share your plans with an ally, they ask how they can help. When you face obstacles, they offer solutions, connections, or support. When you achieve victories, they celebrate without needing to immediately redirect attention to themselves. Allies make your journey lighter, your burden smaller, your possibilities greater. Spectators consume. They watch your journey with interest, but they contribute nothing to your progress. They ask questions not to help you think more clearly, but to satisfy their own curiosity. They listen to your struggles not to offer solutions, but to be entertained by the drama. They witness your successes not to learn from them, but to have stories to tell others. Spectators drain your energy while adding nothing of value to your life. Enemies wait for failures. They maintain enough of a relationship to stay informed about your progress. But their investment is in your downfall, not your success. They remember your mistakes more clearly than your achievements. They offer advice designed to keep you small, questions designed to plant doubt, and observations designed to discourage rather than inspire. Enemies are not always obvious in their hostility. Often they disguise their opposition as concern. The transformation begins when you realize that most people in your life are spectators masquerading as allies. They enjoy the entertainment of your ambitions without contributing to their realization. They want front row seats to your journey without paying the price of admission through genuine support, encouragement, or practical assistance. I once counseled a young entrepreneur who could not understand why his business kept failing, despite his talent, dedication, and innovative ideas. As we explored his challenges, I discovered that he had been sharing every detail of his business plans with a group of friends who offered nothing but opinions. They questioned his pricing, doubted his market research, and suggested modifications to every strategy. None of them had ever built a successful business, yet he was allowing their inexperience to override his own instincts. When he began limiting access to only those who had demonstrated business success or who offered tangible support, his decision-making improved, his confidence increased, and his business began to thrive. The change was not in his abilities or his ideas. The change was in who he allowed to influence those abilities and ideas. Here is the practical wisdom. Conduct an audit of your inner circle. For each person who currently has access to your plans, dreams, and decision-making process, ask yourself these questions. Do they contribute resources, connections, or wisdom that advances my goals? Do they offer solutions when I face problems? Or do they simply acknowledge that problems exist? Do they celebrate my successes genuinely? Or do they celebrate with conditions and comparisons? Do I feel more confident and capable after spending time with them? Or do I feel more doubtful and uncertain? The answers to these questions will reveal who deserves continued access and who should be moved to the periphery of your life. This is not about being cold or ungrateful. This is about being strategic and protective of the most important project you will ever work on: your own success and fulfillment. Allies contribute, spectators consume, enemies wait for failure. Once you can clearly identify which category each person falls into, you can make informed decisions about how much access they deserve to your inner world. Your dreams are too valuable to be shared with consumers. Your plans are too important to be influenced by spectators. Your future is too precious to be sabotaged by those who would benefit from your failure. When you become selective about who gets access to your thoughts, your energy, and your decision-making process, you create space for your own voice to be heard clearly. You stop drowning out your instincts with other people's opinions. You stop diluting your vision with other people's limitations. You start building from a place of clarity rather than confusion, strength rather than uncertainty. Number 6. Strategies to grow protected. The fortress of your success is not built with walls that keep everyone out, but with wisdom that lets only the right people in. Protection is not isolation, it is discernment. Privacy is not secrecy, it is strategy. Growing protected does not mean growing alone. It means growing with intention, selectivity, and intelligence about who deserves access to your developing dreams. You have been taught that sharing your journey makes it more meaningful, that transparency creates accountability, that openness builds community. But I, Solomon, who built an empire that lasted centuries, learned that premature exposure kills more dreams than failure ever could. The tender shoots of your ambitions need protection from harsh winds until they develop strong enough roots to weather any storm. Most people plant their dreams in public squares where every passerby feels entitled to offer commentary, criticism, or unwanted advice. They announce their intentions before they have developed the strength to see them through. They seek validation for ideas that are still vulnerable, still forming, still dependent on their own faith rather than others' approval. But the wise understand that growth requires periods of hidden development, times when progress happens in private, seasons when advancement occurs away from the scrutinizing eyes of those who would judge the process before seeing the results. Seeds germinate in darkness. Diamonds form under pressure in places where no one can observe the transformation. The most beautiful butterflies emerge from cocoons that protect their metamorphosis from external interference. The first strategy for protected growth is reducing exposure of your plans until they have developed enough strength to withstand criticism, doubt, and unwanted input. This does not mean keeping secrets. It means being strategic about timing and audience. Share your vision with those who have earned the right to influence it, not with anyone who happens to be interested in hearing about it. Consider the master craftsman creating a masterpiece. He does not invite spectators into his workshop during the early stages when the work is rough, unfinished, and vulnerable to misinterpretation. He protects his creative process until the piece has developed enough form and beauty to speak for itself. Only then does he reveal it to the world, confident that it can withstand scrutiny because it has been completed with care, skill, and patience. I remember a young merchant who came to me seeking counsel about his failing ventures. Every business he started seemed to lose momentum before it could gain traction. As we explored his methods, I discovered his fatal flaw. He shared every idea with everyone who would listen, seeking their opinions and approval before he had tested the ideas himself. By the time he was ready to act, his original vision had been diluted by dozens of well-meaning suggestions, contradictory advice, and discouraging observations. The turning point came when he learned to develop his ideas in private until they were strong enough to survive public examination. He began sharing only with those who could contribute practical support. Potential partners, experienced mentors, proven advisors. He stopped treating his business plans like community property and started treating them like valuable intellectual assets that deserved protection and careful stewardship. The second strategy is sharing only with those who build, not with those who merely comment. There is a profound difference between someone who offers constructive input and someone who simply expresses opinions. Builders ask how they can help. Commentators ask questions that satisfy their curiosity without advancing your cause. Builders contribute resources, connections, or expertise. Commentators contribute nothing but perspectives you didn't request and may not need. Before sharing any significant plan or dream, ask yourself, is this person capable of contributing something valuable to this vision? Do they have experience, connection, or resources that could advance this goal? Have they demonstrated the ability to build something themselves? Or do they primarily observe and comment on what others build? The third strategy is using silence as a natural filter. Silence reveals who truly supports you and who simply wants to be entertained by your journey. When you stop constantly updating others about your progress, you discover who reaches out to offer genuine support and who is only listening for their own amusement or curiosity. Silence also protects your mental and emotional energy from the drain of constantly explaining, justifying, or defending your choices to people who have not earned the right to judge them. Every moment you spend convincing others of the validity of your dreams is a moment not spent actually pursuing those dreams. The practical application of these strategies transforms not just how others relate to your goals, but how you relate to them yourself. When you stop seeking external validation for every decision, your internal compass becomes stronger and more reliable. When you stop diluting your vision with other people's input, your plans become clearer and more actionable. When you stop sharing with spectators and focus only on allies, your energy becomes focused and powerful rather than scattered and weakened. Growing protected does not mean growing paranoid or isolated. It means growing with wisdom, discernment, and strategy. It means understanding that your dreams are valuable enough to deserve protection. Your plans are important enough to merit careful stewardship. And your future is precious enough to shield from those who would diminish it through ignorance, envy, or indifference. Number 7. When growth becomes inevitable. There comes a moment in every protected journey when momentum shifts from struggle to flow, when progress moves from forced to natural, when success transforms from hope to inevitability. This is not the moment when external conditions become perfect, but the moment when internal clarity becomes unshakable. This is when growth becomes inevitable, not because obstacles disappear, but because focus becomes laser-sharp and interference becomes irrelevant. You have experienced the exhaustion of trying to grow while constantly explaining yourself to others, justifying your choices to people who lack the vision to understand them, and defending your dreams to minds that have never dared to dream at that level themselves. You have felt the drain of divided attention, scattered energy, and compromised focus that comes from trying to please everyone while pursuing your authentic path. But when you begin to grow protected, when you reduce the noise and increase the signal, when you stop feeding your energy to spectators and start investing it in builders, something remarkable happens. The resistance that once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable. The criticism that once derailed your confidence becomes background noise you barely notice. The doubt that once paralyzed your decision-making transforms into certainty that guides your every move. This is the power of protected growth. It creates conditions where progress becomes not just possible, but inevitable. When you are no longer constantly defending your vision, your energy can be fully invested in manifesting that vision. When you are no longer seeking validation from those who cannot provide it, your self-confidence becomes unshakable. When you are no longer diluting your plans with other people's limitations, your strategies become precise and powerful. I have observed this transformation in countless individuals who learn to value discretion over display, quality over quantity in their relationships, and strategic silence over constant sharing. They did not become antisocial or isolated. They became selective and intentional. They did not stop growing. They started growing more efficiently, more powerfully, more sustainably. The inevitable growth that comes from protected development has three unmistakable characteristics. First, less interference generates more progress. When fewer people have access to your decision-making process, decisions get made faster and with greater accuracy. When fewer opinions compete for your attention, your own voice becomes clear and trustworthy. When fewer people drain your energy with their doubts and fears, more energy becomes available for actual work and progress. Second, focus remains intact. One of the greatest gifts of growing protected is the preservation of mental and emotional focus. When you stop constantly explaining your choices to others, you stop second-guessing those choices yourself. When you stop seeking approval for every step, you start taking steps with confidence and commitment. When you stop managing other people's reactions to your progress, you can invest that mental energy in making more progress. Third, the result arrives without warning. This is perhaps the most beautiful aspect of protected growth. Success comes quietly, powerfully, and often surprises even those who have been working toward it. Because the process has been protected from interference and doubt. Because focus has remained sharp and energy has been conserved. Progress accumulates in ways that are not immediately visible to outside observers, but become undeniably apparent when the work is complete. I once worked with a woman who had spent years trying to build a business while constantly seeking input, approval, and validation from family and friends who had never built businesses themselves. Her progress was slow, her confidence was low, and her vision kept changing based on the latest advice she had received. When she finally committed to protecting her process, sharing only with proven advisors and potential customers, something shifted. Her decision-making became faster and more accurate. Her energy became focused and powerful. Her progress became steady and unmistakable. Within 18 months, she had built what had eluded her for years of public planning and community consultation. The difference was not in her abilities or her market conditions. The difference was in her approach to growth. Protected growth allowed her natural talents to emerge, her authentic vision to develop, and her focused energy to create results that impressed even her. The practical truth you must embrace is this. When you grow without excessive exposure, you grow without excessive resistance. When you share your plans only with those who can build them with you, those plans become stronger and more achievable. When you stop seeking approval from those who cannot provide the support you need, you stop depending on external validation for internal confidence. This does not mean becoming secretive or deceptive. It means becoming strategic and protective. It means understanding that your dreams deserve the same careful stewardship you would give to any valuable asset. It means recognizing that premature exposure can kill what patient protection would allow to thrive. When growth becomes inevitable, it is not because you have eliminated all challenges or overcome all obstacles. It is because you have created conditions where your natural abilities, authentic vision, and focused energy can work together without interference, distraction, or dilution. You have learned to grow not just with determination, but with wisdom. not just with effort but with strategy, not just with hope, but with the certainty that comes from protecting what matters most until it becomes strong enough to protect itself. This is the ultimate wisdom of protected growth. It transforms possibility into probability, hope into expectation, dreams into inevitable realities. When you learn to grow protected, you discover that success was never about convincing others to believe in your vision. It was about creating conditions where that vision could manifest regardless of who believed in it or who didn't. You are standing at the edge of a transformation that most will never understand because they are too busy performing their lives instead of living them. This moment right now, as these words reach your consciousness, marks the beginning of your journey into a different way of being. A way where your power comes not from what you reveal, but from what you choose to protect. Think of the ancient sequoia trees that grow tallest in the forest. They do not announce their growth to every passing wind. They do not seek applause from smaller trees. They simply grow, silently, powerfully, reaching toward light that others cannot even see. Their strength comes from roots that run deep in soil that no eye can witness, drawing nourishment from sources hidden beneath the surface of what appears to be. This is who you are becoming. Someone whose greatest victories happen in silence, whose most profound transformations occur away from the hungry eyes of those who would diminish what they cannot understand. You are learning to move like water, flowing around obstacles rather than announcing your path to them. The voices that once held such power over your decisions are becoming background noise. The opinions that once shaped your choices are losing their grip on your destiny. The need for validation that once drove your every move is transforming into an unshakable knowing that comes from within. If these words resonate in the depths of who you are becoming, if this understanding feels like coming home to a truth you have always known but never spoken, then you are ready to walk this path of protected wisdom. Subscribe to continue this journey into the deeper teachings that will transform not just what you do, but who you become. Your greatest strength was never meant to be displayed. It was meant to be lived.